and welcome back to Ask a LinkedIn Girly. I've got my blanket today, my little blankie. I hope you've got yours. I hope you're getting cozy because this is going to be a good one. I am telling you guys today really my entire plan for 2026, my entire content theory, my content thesis, my content philosophy going into 2026, which might sound like some willy-nilly silly thing, but it's really something that's actually going to shape my entire business. And for some context, you might be saying, Marika, enough about you. How does this apply to me? I'm a solopreneur. I'm kind of in the B2B space, like business to business, service provider, consultant adjacent type of thing. So if any of that applies to you, or if you're just someone who is tired out by kind of the content hamster wheel, if you've been exhausted, if you've been burnt by content in the past, perhaps you will resonate with some of what I'm saying. However, this isn't really exactly an advice session. I'm kind of just sharing what I've learned over the years and the lens that I now have around content. So, for context, I originally started out in the kind of content marketing world by starting a little social media agency. At that point, the main hub of my business was Instagram. I was really posting just Instagram stories mostly, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It was fun, but it didn't really compound, and it was tiring, and I burnt out. And I also was managing all of my clients' accounts across channels. So that included LinkedIn, it included Facebook, it included Instagram, it included all of the things. And that was a lot. But all that to say, I've tried all the platforms. I've really kind of done it all. And this is what I've learned. Okay, that's kind of the background. Oh yeah, so I started in the social media industry, but now in 2025, I completely zoned in on LinkedIn. My whole role is teaching solopreneurs how to use LinkedIn. That's like my number one thing. LinkedIn is my girl. LinkedIn is my queen. LinkedIn is the only thing that I really touched in 2025. However, there's still a lot of nuance within LinkedIn. Like, are you doing short little notes and memes? Are you writing long form articles? Are you going live? Are you dropping little shorts? So today I want to talk about different content formats that I'm leaning into and away from within LinkedIn, and then also some platform expansion. Can you believe it? Who would have thought? But it's extremely intentional. Like, you'll see, I am not saying that I'm going to be dancing on TikTok, following trending audios, and posting like Instagram shorts. I'm not going to be posting prank videos. Like, this is very intentional. And you'll see, I'm actually not touching Instagram or TikTok. So, but we'll get to that. The whole point of what I'm doing here in 2026, I'm really building content as infrastructure in my business. It is so serious to me at this point. I did a lot of reflecting on what actually moved the needle in my business in 2025. And in 2025, I spent a lot of time going to networking events or hosting workshops, picking up any little speaking gig, anyone who would let me grab a mic. I love to talk, obviously, but when you're putting a lot of time and effort into going out and meeting people and giving a presentation or whatever it might be, it's kind of a one-off, and you're spending quite a bit of time for each presentation. You're probably, even if it's material that you're familiar with, you're probably putting in at least 30 minutes to prep for it, if not more. For me, it's usually more, because I want things to be good for the people that are present. They're gifting me their time. Of course, I want to prep. But not everyone is your person. And that energy that you put into that meeting or presentation or workshop or whatever, it's kind of gone with the wind. Like, I think in-person is beautiful. And I think we're going to see more of in-person stuff in 2026. People are going to lean more and more into that. And I'll continue to host community events. I always will. Like, that's not going anywhere. But again, when it comes to like the genuine like infrastructure of my business, that is going to be built on content, because that is something that compounds. If I get sick for a month and I can't do anything, I don't have a body double that's showing up at events and continuing to give speeches and give presentations and give workshops and whatever. But if I have a bank of content that's like long form videos, long form writing, that will continue to be there for the month that I'm gone. You know what I mean? I feel like what I'm saying is actually really obvious, and I'm getting to the point where I'm beating a dead horse. So let's just move on. I also have notes because I really want to make sure I cover all my bases here. I'm really trying to stay on track, because if you know me, you know I can go down a random rabbit hole and I will not say anything that I wanted to say today. So yeah, I have this note that content focus is an energy decision. Again, some of you may know I really burnt out in late 2025, around mid-November to early December. Not that you need exact dates, but I burnt out bad, really bad. Like, and I'm actually like a professional burnout girl. Like, I know how to burn out. Okay, if you ever want help burning out, I can help with that. So when I was planning 2026 and how I wanted to operate in my business, I had to be so intentional about how I was spending my time. And this kind of goes into the infrastructure thing, where I've moved down to a 4-day work week strictly. Like, even if I want to work on the weekend, I'm not letting myself. And in that 4-day work week, one of those days is entirely dedicated to content. So think about that. 25% of my working hours, if not more, are going to be dedicated to content. Maybe that much time was already dedicated to content in 2025, but I wasn't tracking it, so I really honestly don't know. I was just going at it every day. Again, this hamster wheel. You can make yourself a hamster wheel anywhere. So anyways, I'm specifically dedicating 1 day a week to really build out like my long form content. Spoiler alert, I'm focusing on long form content. But we'll get there. I'm not following my notes flow right now. Come on, girl. Log in. Okay. So yeah, content focus is an energy decision. This is something that I'm specifically doing to preserve my energy. This is following years of experimentation. This is not just something I'm doing willy-nilly. This is very intentional. And the reason that I'm putting so much weight into this is because I have realized that content systems, whether we realize it or not, sometimes without us even consciously making the choice, content systems absolutely shape your nervous system, your calendar, your relationships, and your business. How? Nervous system. If you know that you need to be dancing on TikTok every single day, which is probably not what any of us are doing, but like just saying, giving an extreme example here. If you know that you need to be dancing on TikTok every single day and you need to find the perfect trending audio because you're trying to hit virality, you know you need to spend 2 hours chasing this TikTok audio and you just hope that you can get the right one. You don't really have a strategy. You don't really know. And you know you're going to have to do the same thing all over again tomorrow. That really could wreck your nervous system. If you're chasing virality and you don't really know what you're doing, you're running on this hamster wheel. Ugh. Nightmare. I'm literally scaring myself hearing that out loud. Anyways, obviously that takes up calendar space. I mean, even if you're just posting Instagram stories, say, throughout your day, it's probably chipping away at your calendar space more than you realize. It's chipping away at your time. Relationships. This is something that I don't think we talk about enough. Relationships. If someone is interested in you and your work and your content, they can either deepen their knowledge of you, deepen their understanding of you by consuming your content, or maybe they don't have that option. And in that way, you can deepen your relationships. Not to brag, but if someone meets me and is on a coffee chat with me and is really interested in me as a person and my work, and they've looked into my content, I really don't need to say, hey, I help solopreneurs figure out LinkedIn, I build communities. I don't need to say that because bada bing, bada boom. And so that gives us so much room to go way deeper and actually build our relationship in the call. And then, of course, your business. Content systems can kind of make or break your business. I don't want to say break because I feel like that's scary. I'm really against fear-mongering. Sometimes I jokingly fear-monger, okay? If you ever see me fear-mongering, I'm joking. It's not going to break your business, but it might really hurt your mental health, okay? I know from experience. So yeah, just to show kind of how important this is to me, 4-day work week, 1 full day dedicated to content. And that does not mean that I'm posting more at all. If anything, I'm actually posting less. But I'm being so intentional in building something that lasts. So instead of just making a little joke on the timeline, a 2-sentence joke, which there's nothing wrong with that, bidding for virality, gone with the wind, something that says nothing about me or my work. I'm not doing it. That's never really been my thing. I like to keep my circle small. What does it sound like so dramatic? I picture that with like a grainy filter over it, black and white. Anyways, I keep my circle small. No, but I like to be intentional about who I'm actually talking to. Like, I'm really not talking to just anyone. I'm talking to women. I'm talking to solopreneurs. I'm talking to creative people. Anyways, the whole point is I'm building something that lasts. I'm building long form content really that shows how my brain works and who I am and how I think. And then also, kind of a side note, this is kind of a me thing. This might not be the most relatable, but I spent a lot of time in 2025 working on my public speaking skills, working on my communication. If any of you know what Toastmasters is, love. Every chapter is different, but I love my chapter where I am. Love. I really was on that stage at Toastmasters, and I love that. But it's a lot of work too, preparing speeches and constantly working on chipping down on your filler words and really nailing how you communicate is kind of the whole point. And it's awesome and it's so much fun, but it is also a lot of work if you put a lot of work into it. Like, I put a lot of work into it in 2025. And with that being said, my original 2026 strategy was, all right, I built my public speaking skills in 2025. Let's monetize that. Let's go all in on that. Let's book some speaking gigs, book more workshops, just basically chase higher pay for speaking gigs. That was my original plan. I felt like that was the natural order of things. You learn how to speak, you learn how to give a good talk, you learn how to give a good presentation, and then you go out into the world and you give them all over the place. That can work. For me, that actually is a road straight to burnout, which we know I'm prone to. So I realized, actually, there is a better container for that, and it is content. If you haven't picked that up by now, it is this. It's going live online, going live on LinkedIn, Ask a LinkedIn Girly, and also using that content for podcasts, for Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, YouTube videos. Believe it or not, I actually didn't originally make the connection that my public speaking and communication skills would transfer to here. I remember back when I was filming some of these longer videos, before I had really kicked off my Toastmasters journey, I was constantly having to edit out filler words. And I'll use some filler words here and there. I'm not against it. But you can tell I'm a lot more comfortable now. And I can just go live. I don't need to edit. I can just leave it be. I'm comfortable with my mistakes. If I slip up, if I need to take a drink of matcha, which I'm gonna do right now, I'm completely fine with that. I feel very comfortable with that. I think that's a huge part of the public speaking and communications thing, is just getting comfortable expressing your reality and your humanity and not trying to be anyone else. But anyways, it's besides the point. All right, here is my 2026 content thesis statement. I'm going to read this word for word. Drum roll, please. In 2026, content should create leverage, trust, and relief, not pressure or guilt. What is leverage? I just said content should create leverage. What is leverage to me? Well, that's kind of exactly what I've been saying this whole time, which is that it works when I'm not. And it takes away the need to explain or to convince or to sell. I'm actually going to do a whole episode. The next episode I do will be exclusively on how to use content as sales relief, how to let your content do the selling for you without being salesy. It's possible. Trust. People can get to know me and my brain if they want to. You can see kind of my paper trail. I am even leaving up my old Instagram, my old business Instagram from when I did the social media marketing agency. Pivoted since then. I'm not in people's accounts. I'm not doing all channels for people. I am solely LinkedIn for solopreneurs. However, I am leaving that old account up that has stuff from 2023. Silly stories of me being ridiculous. Because I want you to be able to follow my paper trail. I want you to be able to see that I've kind of always been this way. I want you to be able to see my evolution, how I've grown, how I've stayed the same. I think it's fun. I don't know. That's honestly not even what I was getting at here, though. That's not even the point. The point is that my content in 2026 is going to be even more long form stuff that I can keep up forever, that shows how I think, my brain, the way that I operate, my vibes, the way that I make you feel, all these kinds of things. Builds trust. Just does. You know it does. You don't even need me to explain that to you. And then relief. For me, the content system that I'm about to share, which, man, so sorry. I feel I've been talking for a long time and I haven't even gotten to the content system. But it's okay. We're just riffing. And yeah, the system is going to create relief for me. It already is. It's so much fun. It's reignited my creativity. And it's also creating relief for my relationships and the people that I'm bringing into my life, the people who want to learn more about me and my work. Okay? If I just said the same thing in 27 different ways, I hope that you can forgive me. We're going to get into the platforms now, okay? This is the tea. This is the juicy part, I feel. You already know I'm keeping LinkedIn. Come on. Within LinkedIn, though, things are going to be a little different. A little different. I am focusing more on long-form content, whether that be LinkedIn articles or simply writing a longer LinkedIn post than usual. I want to actually say something every time that I post. And it's scary because I've had success with posts where I'm really not saying much. I have had success with posts where I literally say like 2 to 3 sentences that are just like, I love community. I'm authentic. Go girls. And I'm really not actually saying very much. And it's popped off. Some of my best performing posts have been posts where I'm really not saying very much. I'm just kind of making generic statements. And so it would be easy, and so, to some people it might come naturally, or you might feel the urge to chase that. Ooh, okay, I can just post 3 simple sentences and this will pop off. Listen, there's nothing wrong with posting 3 simple sentences, but is it really building trust? Is it really building knowledge around your work and your business? I don't think so. Sorry. When you have low energy, I completely understand. Like around the holiday season, I was telling everybody, literally post 1 sentence about the most random thing just to show up. It's fine. But in 2026, that's really not the vibe for me. I want to be posting long form. I want to be actually saying things. I want everything that I put out to say something about me and my work and to actually resonate with people. Imagine that. Anyways, I want it to make people think. I want it to be helpful. It may sound obvious, but so yeah, that's LinkedIn articles, longer LinkedIn posts, and then of course more focus on the lives, which I feel like I've been focusing more and more on these lives since September. You've probably maybe seen my evolution of like, okay, sometimes I'm going live with co-hosts, and then okay, I'm challenging myself to go live all by myself. I don't know when that was, maybe October, that I went live alone for the first time. So scary. Then, just a couple weeks ago, I'm buying a microphone. That's how you know it's getting real. Then, continuity cam with my iPhone. No more webcam quality. You guys have no idea the sacrifices I had to make to reach that point. I had to reset my entire computer. Don't even ask me why. I don't even want to get into it, but I had to reset my entire computer to set up the continuity cam. I lost everything. No worries. Anyways, this Ask a LinkedIn Girly, LinkedIn Live, is now also being used as content for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and even YouTube, a long-term enemy of mine. Never would have thought. But here's the thing. I'm simply making a couple edits from LinkedIn Live and then repurposing this same content, maybe sometimes adding context, maybe sometimes deleting parts that I feel are rambly, maybe sometimes just uploading the original track. I'm not actually creating unique videos specifically for YouTube, especially because YouTube really pains me. It's not, it's kind of slow growth. There's this emphasis on YouTube Shorts now, and that's not really for me. If you see me on YouTube Shorts begging for views, hey, look the other way. But I'm telling you right now, that is not something that fuels my soul. And then also another platform that I'm using is simply email. I'm using Kit, and those are really going to be like pretty short and sweet, but also slightly more intimate. I think that people who receive my emails, I always think if someone's receiving my emails and they don't like me as a person, they're probably annoyed, because I feel like I talk to my email list like it's a group chat, sort of. I guess that's just how I operate in general. But I recently found out that I actually was kind of hiding my unsubscribe button. So embarrassing. My font color of the unsubscribe button was super similar to the font color of the background, and I didn't even notice. It was just like the automatic settings. I have no idea. I fixed it, but I feel, to anyone who thought that they were trapped intentionally on my email list, I am so sorry. Autonomy is one of my main business values. It's just ridiculous. So anyways, for the people who want to be on my email list though, hey, we're on it. I'm so excited for that. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's mostly just pointing to episodes or adding, again, some more context and intimacy to LinkedIn posts, because this is people who've really opted in to want to know more. And then also, email always kind of for me has been a place to give discounts. Like, I honestly, I always used to think that the email list discount thing was kind of like a scam. I didn't know that was for real. And then I got more and more involved in community with like other solopreneurs, and they were like, no, we're like genuinely giving exclusive discounts to our email list. This was a few months ago. And I was like, oh, because I've been on the receiving end of those email list discounts, and I always thought like, this is available to everyone. Like, what's this? Anyways, I feel like it's actually a nice gift to give your email list specific discounts. Like, that's actually really nice. This repulsion to sales is interesting because I feel like people don't like being sold to, but it's like at the same time, hey, you're like actually getting a good discount. You don't have to buy it, but because I know from experience, when I see like 25% off in my inbox, I'm like, stop it. I feel like you're freaking tricking me somehow. But when it's me doing it, I'm like, no, genuinely, guys, like, I'm only giving this to my email list. Anyways, so I don't know. That's interesting, but I think I will continue to do some discounts for my email list, and I feel like that's one of the values of being on my email list. Even though, I don't know, I also have been on the receiving end of discounts, and I've been like, something about this feels weird. I don't know. Kind of the main concept of this is basically one idea gets multiple touch points and angles. So say I'm talking about which platforms I'm interested in. This video, it's getting an Ask a LinkedIn Girly live on LinkedIn. It's going to get spread to my podcast on Apple Podcast and Spotify. This video is also going to get repurposed on YouTube. And I will most likely write a long form article about exactly what I'm talking about today. And then perhaps I will use that same language in an email. Send that out, maybe point to the episode. You know, there's multiple touch points, and I'm really fleshing out one of the same idea so that I'm really having like quality takes on it. I'm not just randomly touching things like, what do we think about horses? Oh, I love horses with like long silky hair. It's like, okay, if the thoughts are just popping in and out and we're not really fleshing them out, versus if I wrote 6 different long form pieces about horses, there's gotta be more quality stuff in there. Arguably. Just gets more and more unhinged. I don't know. I'm done with platforms that reward novelty and performance. There's nothing wrong with novelty and there's nothing wrong with performance, but it's not good for me. It's not good for my nervous system. So, sorry. Bye TikTok, bye Instagram. I didn't touch either of those platforms in 2025, but, you know, selectivity creates clarity, okay? You don't need to be everywhere. Now, the content forms I'm investing in, I hate to even say the word, but because I know people have big feelings around this, but AI is kind of taken away our educational tips content, I believe. I also personally never even found that content to be that fun anyways. So I'm really leaning into like my clear point of view and the things that make me special. Like, just for an example, I talk a lot about creativity on LinkedIn, and I talk a lot about creativity for solopreneurs and bringing joy and self-expression into the content creation process. I don't see that talked about actually very much at all, especially like on LinkedIn specifically. So that's one of my unique point of views. And maybe I'll talk more about my journey and stuff. I don't know, just things that are unique to me. Basically, I'm leaning more into that. Definitely leaning into series. I have been trying to get everyone I know to create a series forever. I think series really make your life easier. It really helps with building that content infrastructure where you're not reinventing the wheel. I'm definitely reusing ideas for sure. We can talk more about that too, because I think that's like one of the best things that you can do as a solopreneur is kind of refresh your ideas. Builds authority, builds trust. It's also easy. I'm going to be sharing more about how I think, how my brain works. I feel like that's important. And again, that's something that kind of separates us from AI. The major takeaway is that all ideas should compound and not disappear. All energy, all value, all content, all output, it should all compound instead of just disappearing. Okay? So with that being said, I'm definitely moving away from trends. I was never really a trend person to begin with, but another year of not chasing trends. I'm not going to be over teaching. I'm not going to be hyper polished. When was I? Whatever. Again, another year of being raw and authentic. And what else do I have? I'm avoiding energy drains. So that's different for everyone, but for me, it's a lot of those shorts, short videos, short tweet-like structures. That's why actually I have beef with Substack, because I really have re-downloaded and deleted Substack like a million times, because every time I download it, I'm flooded with these notes. I'm sorry. I don't understand. It's just not for me. Especially because I already have email set up with Kit. So the long form thing, I'm like, long form, why not do long form articles on LinkedIn if you're a LinkedIn girly like me? I don't think the Substack move is necessary. But it's hard because there's FOMO, especially when I see really cool people moving to Substack and getting on Substack. I'm like, oh. So then I re-download it, and then I get frustrated, and then I delete it. Substack is not coming into 2026. All right, I have one kind of final note about content as infrastructure, which is that content stops being exhausting when it supports everything else. Content is inevitably going to tire you out if it's kind of a side piece, because it's like a heavy side piece. Like, I think it's heavy no matter what, so it kind of deserves to have you pay attention to its weight, if that makes sense. It kind of deserves to have you plan around its weight. I don't know. That was a metaphor, and you could interpret it as you'd like. Sales feel lighter with content. We've talked about this. I'm gonna do a whole session on the fact that it makes sales lighter. Planning simplifies when you actually have infrastructure, when you know where your content goes, when you know where your ideas go. Like, if you have a really good creative idea or opinion that you're fired up about, where is that going to go in 2026? Where is that going to go? Are you going to reinvent the wheel every time you have an idea? Conversations deepen. Again, when you have the strategic infrastructure and you're really diving in on the same topics, you're not randomly talking about horses or whatever it may be, there's so much more opportunity for conversations to deepen. Like, again, I talk about taking care of yourself in the process of content creation. There's so much room for conversations to really deepen around that, versus if I was just talking about horses, jumping all over the place. Most beautifully, I have found that when you have a strategic content system, when you treat content as infrastructure and as an important part of your business, creativity returns. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. We need more creativity. It's a beautiful thing to have that back. All right, so just know that if content has felt difficult, if content has felt heavy and it's been a struggle, you are definitely not alone at all. It's completely natural. It's a crazy content world we're living in. It's really not natural to have to choose between like 12 platforms, if not more. When was that ever a thing? Our grandparents didn't have to do that. Just know, if you've struggled, you know what? There are other approaches, so you don't need to give up on content. And also, this is a topic for another time, but I've seen a lot of LinkedIn strategists talk about, here's how to maximize referrals or maximize leads with it just 15 minutes a week on content marketing. If you follow my channel, you probably actually genuinely could benefit from spending more than that. Spending more than 15 minutes a week. You don't want to just optimize everything perfectly. You want to actually spend quality time with your content, because you care about nourishing your creative energy, and you care about expressing yourself, and you want it to be beautiful. You want it to be artistic. You don't just want it to be 15-minute sales. You want it to be representative of something bigger. You know? If you know, you know. Anyways, if you like this, if you resonate with what I'm saying, if you're ready to develop a new approach, you should definitely check out the LinkedIn Sprint. I am giving actually 50% off. After this whole talk about like discounts sometimes feel weird. Yeah, I'm genuinely giving 50% off, 50% off to anyone who listens to Ask a LinkedIn Girly and makes it to the end where I say this part. So in the description, there's a code, like a link that you click to get the 50% off. So it's $600 instead of $1,200. So you're saving $600. When was the last time you saved $600? I go all like salesman. Anyways, the LinkedIn Sprint, if you don't know what it is, there's a link to the landing page and then a link to check out with 50% off. But the landing page will explain kind of like the path that we follow, the guest speakers. There's a different guest speaker every single week. So every week we have an expert in a specific subject come in, whether it's content planning or profile optimization. They'll speak for an hour, and then the next day we do a group implementation session for an hour. And it's an intimate group. It's small, so there's like tons of room for making actual close friends and relationships. It's not like a cohort of 50 where you're going to get lost in the sauce. No. It's intimate. It's a small group, and it's awesome, and it's fun, and you can see testimonials like on the landing page or even on my LinkedIn recommendations where people are like, this has gotten me clients. It is paid for itself tenfold. It has gotten me speaking gigs, like all these things. So anyways, check that out because I don't want to talk your ear off right now about it. I always kind of feel like I'm holding people hostage when it gets to this point, the end of the call. And I don't know why. I feel like I'm holding myself hostage too. I struggle to end these. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this. And let me tell you, if you've been watching these Ask a LinkedIn Girly sessions, I applaud you and I thank you so very much. I promise these will get better. I don't think they're bad right now, but they have room for improvement and we will improve. If you actually look at the first session compared to now, we've improved a lot. So we're on the up and up, okay? It's only getting better from here. Thank you, though, for being here. And I'll see you soon to talk about content as sales relief.